Here's Orvlosky on Ty Simpson.
Simpson has been a fascinating person in this draft, going back to the middle part of the season where he seemed to be trending towards QB1.
Yeah.
And then the season went on and there became no question that Fernando Mendoza is going to be the first quarterback taken in this draft. Certainly that is at least the conventional wisdom, and Ty Simpson could fall anywhere in the first round. You have looked at the tapes. What are you seeing?
I think Ty Simpson is QB1. I think Ty Simpson is the best quarterback in this class. I think when you look at the body of work and what was asked of these two quarterbacks, you have to start with the question, who needed to do more to carry their football team to play well? Ty Simpson, and it's not close between those two quarterbacks. Who took more games over throughout the course of the season? Ty Simpson. It's not even close. And if we're asking, like, okay, we're trying to see what you are as a player in college and what you're going to be asked to do in the NFL and what translates. I start with, what do you do in moments of panic with the football? Because that's really what separates good to great. I would tell you that Ty Simpson is more consistent in that regard. There's not a ton of moments of panic out of Fernando Mendoza. And then there's moments when he immediately drops his eyes and becomes a runner. Ty Simpson more consistent in that. What guy was asked to do more NFL throws? When I say NFL throws, I'm talking 15, 20, 25-yard in routes, crossing routes, deep corner or sail routes. Ty Simpson, and it's not even close in that regard. Downfield throws, the posts and the goes, I think they're close. Mendoza throws a lot of go routes, and he's good at it, but I think they're close. RPO, get it out, that's probably what Mendoza's offense was.
Right.
And then I think throwing on the move, they're both relatively equal. So when it comes to moments of panic and big throws, real NFL throws, I think it's clearly Ty Simpson.
So it is, I mean, to be clear, this will get a lot of attention that you feel this way because you are, at this point, I think one of the people whose opinions on this stuff matter the most. And everyone has their opinion, and this is certainly going to be an unconventional one. But you're comfortable saying if you had the choice between the two of them, you would take Ty right now.
I would much rather have Ty, and I like Fernando Mendoza. This is not to slight Mendoza.
Yeah.
I would rather have Ty Simpson at the 15 to 20 range than Fernando Mendoza.
Here's the thing. He didn't answer Greeny's question at the end there. Who do you want? Who's the better quarterback? All right, say it with your chest. Don't give me the, well, I would rather Ty at the 15 to 20 range than Mendoza at 1. That's not relevant. So I don't like that at the end there. I also just think we are overanalyzing this stuff. Sometimes the obvious answer is the obvious answer. Fernando Mendoza is the best quarterback in this draft class. We don't have to pretend. Doesn't mean he will end up being that guy. But I feel like we've reached the part of like the draft cycle where it's like, let's come up with a crazy take that gets people going. At first, Orvlosky said he originally watched the tape on Simpson and Mendoza through the first 8 games. Remember that tweet that went viral? And then he got a lot of pushback for that. Because it's like, dude, if you watch Mendoza, he got better and better as the year went on. When Indiana actually needed him to be at his best, he was. Unlike, unfortunately, Ty Simpson, who got banged up. And that's part of the conversation with Simpson. He's 6'1", 215 pounds. Fernando Mendoza is 6'5", 235. I heard Chris Sims, who played quarterback in the NFL, say that he could easily push 245 if he wanted to, and you wouldn't even know. Size matters in football. It does. It matters at that position especially. We could excuse Simpson and say, well, his performance dipped with injuries, but him being injured is a part of the conversation when you're evaluating him. He's a smaller quarterback. He's not small, but he's not as big as Mendoza. So I vehemently disagree with Dan because it almost feels like because he got pushback the last time he gave a take on Simpson, that now he's just doubling down on it. When you say, oh, you know, who's making more NFL throws? Like, come on, man. Who led his team to the national title? Who in the fourth quarter called his own number and made the play to win the game? Who won? Who beat Ohio State in that defense in the Big Ten championship game and made the big time throw when it mattered late in the game? Like, Mendoza's passed every test. Now, I am sure there are some teams who might have Ty ahead of Mendoza. But from a Jet standpoint, I don't think that team's the Raiders, so I don't think it really matters. I don't believe the Jets are going to take him at 2. I think the conversation for Ty Simpson starts at 16 for the New York Jets. Now, you'll notice in the title, it says, Dan Orvlosky drops bold Ty Simpson take, backed by ex-Jets GM. Mike T on Twitter earlier tweeted this. The gap between Fernando Mendoza and Ty Simpson is much smaller than the gap between the number 2 quarterback and the number 3 quarterback, which is a significant difference. I don't dispute that there is a gap perception amongst fans and media that, oh, Mendoza is the best quarterback, and then it's everyone else. I'm sure it's Mendoza, a gap, and then Ty. That's how teams will, I'm sure, view it. But we also need to acknowledge it's still Mendoza, a gap, and then Ty. But I do think Mike is right, and I think if we've been pretty fair on the show with the different film studies that we have done with some of these quarterbacks and filtering through all the different takes on this, that it does feel like it goes Mendoza 1, then Ty's the second best quarterback, and then there is a pretty significant drop-off. Whereas Ty either goes in the first round or somewhere in the second round. You can't tell me there's another quarterback that you know for sure is either going to be a first round or second round pick besides Ty Simpson. It's going to be Mendoza for sure. Adam Schefter said today he thinks Ty Simpson will be a first round pick. But then after that, you can't tell me who the next quarterback off the board is. So I do agree there is a gap between Ty Simpson and then whoever the third quarterback is. But I think we need to stop with, Ty Simpson's actually bad. I think we overthink this stuff, man. Mendoza has started so many more games in college and has gotten better every year. Here's a graphic I made before the show today. This is why I'm weary of taking Ty Simpson at 16. I like Ty. Again, I'm a fan of his. I just don't believe in taking him 16th overall. I think that's too big of a risk for the Jets when you have 3 first-round picks and what I believe will be a better quarterback class a year from now. First-round quarterbacks with less than 20 career starts. This is dating back to Cam Newton in 2011. Look at the list here. Ryan Tannehill, Trey Lance, Kyler Murray, Dwayne Haskins, Cam Newton, Anthony Richardson, Mitchell Trubisky. Cam is the only name you could point to and say that it worked out with the team that drafted him. He's the only name, and Cam was a freak in college and had one of the great seasons that Auburn year where they won the national title you'll see from anyone. I am not drafting Ty Simpson 16th overall. I think it's too big of a risk. I could get a receiver there. I could get another offensive lineman there. I could take another defensive player there. And I have 3 first-round picks in 2027. And I have 2 second-round picks. I think there's a chance that Ty falls out of round 1, despite what people say. Find me the team for him. I don't believe that Arizona's taking him at 3. Do you guys? I don't believe that the Dolphins are taking him at 11. Do you? The Browns with their first-round pick? I don't see it. I'd be surprised if Pittsburgh took him at 21. I could see Cleveland maybe drafting him at 24. Maybe. But again, I think there's a chance he's there at 33, and I would be fine if they took a swing there because there's a difference at 33 than 16. The cost is different. The draft capital investment is way different. And there's a lot of players you're turning down, overtaking if you go with a quarterback. And I don't trust the Jets' plan to properly evaluate what Simpson is, right? The coaching staff's on the hot seat. You take Ty Simpson at 16. How many games is he going to play in? So I could get an accurate assessment of what he is before you're sitting there with 3 first-round picks and potentially an opportunity to take a big-time prospect in the 27 draft. And what do you do if Ty Simpson is just okay if he gets 8 games, 8 starts? What do you do then? At 33, you can mitigate the risk. You can keep him on your team. He costs you nothing as a second-round pick, as a backup quarterback. Fine. Let him compete with the rookie. 16 just feels too rich. Now, I'm okay even if they traded back into the first round if it didn't cost a ton to do it. But every year, the cost of doing something like that, it varies based on demand. Again, I like Ty, but I will keep bringing up the game started because that, to me, is a huge data point that people don't acknowledge enough. Doesn't mean Ty can't be an outlier, but if you're an NFL GM, if you're Darren Muji, are you betting on an outlier at the 16th overall slot? I don't think you are. Not when your job is not on the line yet. You don't need to take a quarterback. No one's saying, Muji, get the quarterback, figure it out now, or else. JD says the games played argument is blown out of proportion. Explain, JD. Call in. Because I don't think it is. I look at this list here and I see Cam Newton, who was a physical freak and won a national title at Auburn. And every other name on here, I don't think was very good with the team that drafted him. I think Kyler was okay for the first couple of years of his career, and it obviously fizzled out. So the bottom line is you could draft the quarterback and take a swing, but there's a huge investment when you take a pick that you acquired because of Sauce Gardner being traded, an all-pro corner, and you use it on a quarterback. Hit the like button if you're just tuning in. Comments, questions, super chats will cut the line. I'll tell you what, if they do take Ty Simpson, every Jet fan should be rooting for him. That is for sure. I'm rocking my Broadway Joe t-shirt right now. Maybe we need another Alabama quarterback to get the Jets back to the playoffs. Who knows? Super chats cut the line. So let's get it started here. Doc Jetfed says, just in, Nick Farrier reporting Ty Simpson gone by pick 1. Hey, I hope the Raiders are one of these teams that falls in love with Ty over Mendoza. But I don't think they will be. It just screams, hey, let's have something else to talk about during draft season because it's a foregone conclusion. Mendoza's going 1. Daniel Jeremiah has him as his best player in the draft, by the way. Plenty of people like Fernando Mendoza. All right, let's talk some breaking news in the NFL. It's not directly related to the Jets, but I do want to give the Jet front office their proper credit for something. So, big contract was just agreed upon between the Seattle Seahawks and the reigning offensive player of the year, wide receiver Jackson Smith-Njigba. So, he agrees to a 4-year, $168.6 million contract extension and now makes him the highest paid receiver in NFL history. The deal averages $42.15 million per year and includes over $120 million guaranteed, both setting records for any wide receiver. It's well-deserved. Smith-Njigba is awesome. Where I want to give the Jets credit is because they were proactive in getting an extension done a year ago with wide receiver Garrett Wilson. You look at how that contract is going to age. Garrett Wilson is now locked in for the long haul. And if you look at the highest paid wide receivers in the NFL, Njigba's now number 1, 42.15. Jamar Chase, number 2, 40.25. Justin Jefferson, number 3, 35 million. So look at the jump in wide receiver money. You keep going. CeeDee Lamb, 34 million. DK Metcalf, 33 million. So Garrett Wilson goes from a top 5 highest paid wide receiver to now top 6, $32.5 million, and his true extension does not even really kick in until 2027. So I say this to give the Jets credit by being proactive with Garrett, having Garrett locked in now for many more years to come. He's going to be quite the bargain because think about some of the other receivers that are about to get paid, like Puka Nacua, who will break the record that JSN just broke. So give credit to Darren Muji in the Jet front office. Give credit to ownership. Woody spending money to lock in Garrett because at the time people were like, oh, what? Garrett Wilson's a top 5 wide receiver in the sport. Well, maybe not just in rankings, but in salary he was. But I said at the time, it will age gracefully because Garrett is really, really good. And the receiving market is only going to continue to go up, 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 up. I mean, look at it. It went from $35 million with Chase to here we are. The last 2 guys are now making well over $40 million. So I think it is a good thing that JSN got paid what he did because it shed some light on the fact the Jets were smart to get the Garrett deal done last summer.
Absolutely, Jake. And I don't even think we've reached Garrett's ceiling. I really don't. I think there's so much more we could do on a football field with him. He's performed really well considering the quarterback play he's had here. But I've always said this, Garrett Wilson can be a deadly deep threat in this league. And if we can finally get this guy a quarterback that could get him the ball down the field and not have him have to do everything underneath across the middle, if we can find a quarterback, Jake, that can get him the ball down the field, you're going to see Garrett Wilson put up some big numbers. So he's done what he could with what he's had. But there's a level to Garrett, and you're right. I mean, right now, yeah, he's outside of the top 5 in AAV. To me, he's deserving of the contract. You know, when I came on, I had no problem with the Garrett deal at all when it happened. I had a problem with the Sauce deal. But Garrett's deal, I never had an issue with. It's going to age wonderfully. You'll see in a few years, he'll be outside the top 10.
And I just think when you also consider the type of person Garrett Wilson is, how he wants to be here, great teammate, I think he was certainly the right guy to pay. So, look, it's been tough to find positives with the Jets the last couple of years, but Garrett Wilson is certainly one of them. And I think the Jets being proactive with that extension is going to end up being something that we look back on and go, that was a smart move. And even the Sauce extension, the way they structured it made it easy to deal Sauce Gardner. And because he was signed long-term, they maximized his value by getting the 2 first-round picks and A.D. Mitchell. So I know you were against extending him, but no one could be upset with the return they got for a non-quarterback, 2 ones and a solid receiver, we believe, in A.D. Mitchell.
100%. Yeah. No, that's as good of a deal as you're going to get for a corner. I'm probably in the minority. I don't value corners as high as maybe some other people do, unless they're locked down and actually a lockdown corner. Then I'll look at them a little differently. But to get back, 2 ones and a receiver that's a wide receiver 3 or can be a wide receiver 2 at times, you're not going to get a better deal than that. I don't know how Muji pulled that one off, honestly. You never see that, Jake, too. A player sign an extension like that, making them the highest paid at their position, and then not even 3 months later, they're moved. That is true. What you're saying, that there was flexibility in how that deal was structured to be able to do something like that.
The mood. So give credit to the Jets for that one. Some other news to get into as we're talking with Frankie V. Make sure you guys hit the like button and are subscribed to the channel here. Some other news to break down. How about the fact a report emerged from a respected Philadelphia Eagles writer, Jimmy Kempski, that the Jets called the Eagles before they made the deal for Geno Smith to inquire about Tanner McKee, the backup QB there, and Philadelphia wanted a 2nd-round pick for McKee's services. Thank God the Jets said, yeah, we're good. We'll just add Geno Smith for nothing and have him be the bridge for a year. Tanner McKee, I don't quite get the hype. This guy has barely played. It's not like he was a 2nd-round pick that's just been sitting on the bench and was highly regarded. He was a 6th-round pick. He started 2 games. He's been fine, I suppose, when he's played. He's looked good in the preseason, which does absolutely nothing for me. The fact that the Philadelphia Eagles wanted a 2nd-round pick for him, I am thrilled that the Jets said, no, thank you. This, to me, was the right decision. What is your reaction to the Eagles asking price and the Jets ultimately saying we're good?
Well, what's interesting about that is on our pod, Gangs All Here, Kaz had brought up that there was a team that the Jets inquired with who wanted a quarterback and they were asking for a 2nd-round pick. Or he said something like that. The Jets inquired around and there was a quarterback that they were interested in that was a backup that was asking, the team was asking for it too. I mean, man, I don't understand the love with Tanner McKee. I'm with you there. I don't know where this fan club of his came from. I looked at the limited snaps that he's had. I don't really see it. Again, I haven't done that much work on him, but that would have been a disaster, giving up a 2. You could maybe convince me on a 5, maybe a 4 if you want to get a little risque there on trying to pull something off, at the quarterback position. But a 2, I mean, how does Philadelphia even consider that like a fair deal? The guy was a 6th-rounder. I mean, the one quarterback I wouldn't have traded a 2, but I may have traded a 4 for, maybe a future 3, is Tyson Bagent. I'm a fan. I don't know what it is about the kid. I just like him. And I don't like him thinking he's going to be some franchise quarterback, but I like something about him that I think I'd be excited going into the season if he were competing or maybe starting come week 1. Tanner McKee for a 2 is insane, man. Tyson Bagent for a 2 would have been insane. I mean,
really, any of these guys, even Mac Jones, people were like, trade
I
the
agree
2.
with you.
And I was anti doing that, but at least with Mac Jones, you could sell yourself on he's played. Like, he looked good in regular season games last year. Now I'd push back and say, look at the team he's on, the offensive coach he has, but like, you could at least argue Mac Jones. People I respect said the Jets should trade a 2nd for Mac Jones. And while I disagree with it, I think it's a real conversation you could have. How do you justify trading a 2nd-round pick for a former 6th-round pick who's barely played? We have no idea what Tanner McKee is.
I don't know. Whoever's marketing that guy, his team or something, they're doing a great damn job, because there's a bunch of backup quarterbacks in football that were 5th, 6th-round picks. There's a bunch that I liked last year. We spoke about them on your show that I'd rather trade a 2 for than Tanner McKee. I'd rather take Will Howard for a 2 than Tanner McKee. I wouldn't do a 2 for Will Howard, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know where this love fest has come from. I don't even remember him doing much in college. Just off the top of my head, do you remember Tanner McKee in college? Like, where did this guy come from?
He played at Stanford. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't watch him that much in college. He was a 6th-round pick. Right?
Hey, here's the deal. Just got no chance unless you click on that like button. And you got to make sure you subscribe to the Jake Asman Show. You don't, you can get the f*** out. Now let's go, Asmaniacs. We're built for this shit.